Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Flynn. Welcome back. It's great to have you again with us. Hopefully, if you are watching live, please don't hesitate to say hi in the chat. It's always great to hear from you. We're live on YouTube and Behance today, and we are following up from a stream that we did yesterday with the fantastic, amazing type dork herself, Sophie Elinor. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I love that you've switched sides of your sunroom.
Yes.
I love that you can do that. So it's just like a totally new Sophie. Same time, same channel, new Sophie.
Just put my laptop at the other end of the desk and it is, yeah. New room, new us.
Yes. It's awesome. So thank you very much for joining us again. And these are separate streams, so you don't need to have watched this for everybody out there. You don't need to have watched the previous stream to enjoy this one. But there will be some similarities because we're talking about two different ways of animating typography.
Yes. So yesterday was all about After Effects. And we played with some different little effects and filters and things that set some type that we drew on fire. And today we're going to take that same starting design, but we're going to do the animation via Photoshop and kind of compare and contrast. Cool.
I love it. Do you have a preference, or is it kind of a little bit like asking about your favorite child or something?
It really depends on the project. I always, I think I appreciate the handmade nature of the Photoshop animation more. I feel like I'm more impressed when I see something that someone's literally drawn frame by frame versus just kind of sprinkling a bunch of effects on something. They both definitely have their merits, but I feel like you can kind of feel the human more in it when it's when it's hand drawn. Yeah.
Cool.
Totally different vibe, and yeah, like I said, they each have their place, but yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's learn some more. And I think what's really cool is you've chosen the same like sketch, like the same original kind of static file. And then to animate in both. So we can kind of see the pros and cons of both, which is very cool.
Yeah. So I thought we'd start by just having a little squiz at our Illustrator file from yesterday, just so we can kind of look at the starting point, as you were saying. So obviously when we were preparing this file for After Effects, we had to split everything into all these different layers, which meant we had something like 44 different layers to work with here. It also meant that for each of these little pieces of flame, the shapes were quite simplified, really just kind of almonds. Doesn't really look like fire when we look at it like as a standalone frame. So I've taken this drawing and I have given it a little bit of an update here.
Right.
For us to bring into Photoshop. So probably the first thing to note is that I've only got a couple of layers here now. I don't need a million different layers because we're drawing everything by hand. I've got our background. I've got our lettering on its own. I've drawn these flames and I've put them in a different color, which will make more sense when we get into Photoshop. This is like really just a template for me to work from. But I have drawn these flames and you can kind of tell if we compare it to these ones, there's a lot more sort of wobble and shape and form in these than in these more simplified ones. And I have also drawn some end flames. So these are kind of the two positions we're going to be drawing in between. And with the hope that when we kind of line up all our drawings, we'll get that sort of flickering effect that we achieved in After Effects yesterday.
Cool.
Which maybe we can have a quick squiz at what that looked like before we get started. Oh yeah,
if you have that handy.
Because I did spend some time yesterday afternoon just finishing that animation off.
Right. Yeah, it looks awesome.
So yeah, this is with all those different kind of layers that we piled up on there. This is with, we use the turbulent displace to get that kind of crunchy edge. We use the wave warp to make the flames do their little dance. And then we added like a posterized time to kind of crunch down on those frames. And then a little bit of that hand-drawn texture in the background just to really roughen it up a bit and make it look more hand-drawn. So
that animation, I couldn't put like the words in my mouth of what it was reminding me of, and then I realized what it was. We both love The Simpsons, but do you watch much Futurama? Are you aware of this?
Not as much as I have The Simpsons.
Okay, well Zoidberg does this like jiggle effect. And it reminds me so much of Zoidberg when he takes his shell off and he's like just all jelly. And I was like, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I can picture Zoidberg without his shell all like loose and wobbly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all you need to know. It reminds me of that. Just
what a random place for that to take you, but I love it.
That's where I woke up in the middle of the night going, Zoidberg. Like, that's what it was.
Writes it down for future reference.
Yeah.
This is important. I have to tell people.
That's right. So there you go.
I don't know if we'll be as Zoidbergy today, but we can only hope.
Yeah.
I've got these couple of layers here. I'm going to bring those over into Photoshop, just purely like a little copy and paste. So I'm just going to highlight all of my lettering and jump on over into Photoshop. All I've got here is like a 16:9, but that's all this file is. It's just a background color and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally just going to paste, and I'm going to paste these as pixels because it's just a template for me to work from. It doesn't really matter about keeping it crisp or anything. It's just for my reference. And I'm gonna leave that at the size that it is for the moment. I don't want to scale anything down just yet until I have also brought in my other couple of layers. So I'll grab my start flames and bring those across and just keep those as pixels as well. And then I will grab, my end flames and bring those into Photoshop as well. Now I'll have to do like a little bit of realignment here. And before I do anything, I'm just gonna label this as well. So I'm gonna call these my templates. Actually, that was the wrong one. This is the spicy template. And this one is the end flames. So this is just giving me a base to work from. You don't need to be this planned, I guess, if you're animating in Photoshop, but I just find it useful when I'm kind of working towards a specific end goal. Like I kind of already have in mind what I want this animation to be.
Yeah.
And so this is just helping me kind of lay it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got our 3 layers here. We've got our end flames, our start flames, and we've got our lettering underneath here.
Right. Cool.
The next thing I want to do is give myself some layers to actually draw on because I won't be touching these. These are just for reference as I go along. So I'll add a new layer in here and let's just call it spicy. This is going to be our lettering. What I want to first kind of achieve with this is that sort of shimmering heat effect that we had on our After Effects lettering. If we have another little look at that, the way it kind of shimmers here, that was the turbulent displace that we put on in After Effects. It's kind of mimicking an animation principle called boil, which is basically where something that stays static still has like a little bit of movement to it so that it just kind of feels a bit more alive rather than being one kind of uniform drawing the whole way through.
I hadn't heard of that one. Boil.
Yeah. So at the moment, this just looks like a normal kind of Photoshop file. The window we want to pull up that we're going to do our animating in is the timeline window here. And we just are going to hit create video timeline. And that's going to give us this kind of workspace to work our magic.
Nice.
A couple of things to set up before we get started is the timeline frame rate, which classic has opened up behind the wrong screen. By default, it's set to 30, but we want to work in 12. 12 frames per second is usually what I do for any sort of stop motion or frame by frame stuff. It's enough to make it feel really smooth, but not so much that you spend 8 days creating 1 second of animation.
It turns into claymation like really quick.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be that detailed. I'm not trying to hide that it's handmade. I'm trying to lean into that a little. So I think having a slightly slower speed is okay for that.
Yeah.
And then the last little bit of sort of file setup that I'm going to do here is just kind of cut that spicy layer that I made before, which has nothing on it currently, but I'm just cutting it into individual little single frame chunks so that we can draw on each of those. I don't think we're going to get to 1 second today, but let's be ambitious and just cut ourselves enough pieces anyway.
It's funny, isn't it? Like 1 second. It's like, I don't know if we can do it a second in an hour.
Yeah.
But yes.
Honestly, the amount of time that this stuff takes is wild.
Yeah.
For now, I'm just going to switch my flames off and go back to my template and just knock the opacity of that right down. So I can see it, but it's not kind of overpowering. And now we draw. I'm going to pick something that has a bit of texture in it. I really like this kind of HB pencil that we've got here. And you can kind of see there's like a bit of texture in that there. And I'm just going to quickly, without sort of being too precious about it, just kind of trace over my letters. And you can kind of already tell that this is not the super fast, very polished process of After Effects. Like this is a much more laborious kind of method.
You can tell because you're concentrating. You just kind of trailed off there. I did kind of trail off there, didn't I? That S reminds me so much of that S we all drew in high school.
Oh my God, right? The 3 lines and then the...
I was thinking I don't know why I thought of this the other day, but I was like, has anyone trademarked that? And I was like, maybe I might just make a little brand and then trademark that thing. Squat on it.
I would love to know how it just made its way around the world, because everyone knew it, right?
Right.
And it was in the before
times.
Social media times, yeah.
I think I might have been drawing that in primary school, which is like dial-up modem times. Like it's really early internet times.
Yeah. Oh, we all thought we were so cool when we drew that S. Like, so clever.
Its precise places and origins are unknown.
Are you Googling it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking it up.
Oh.
The cool S. It's often called. Oh, my God. We're so lame.
The cool S.
The cool S.
I was watching something the other day and they called it the Superman S. And I've never heard it referred to as that before. I assume that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
They were talking about it in like the same way that we are, where it's like just this kind of knowledge that every child somehow knows.
Yeah. It's like those rumors that spread around, which we can't talk about here, that like every school like heard about. Yeah. It's like, how? Yeah.
I am drawing this. I'm using my iPad as a kind of second monitor stand-in sort of Wacom tablet. Just because it's way nicer to draw this way than with a mouse.
Yeah, for sure. Do you use like using a Mac? Is that like iPad to Mac or is that iPad to PC? It's Mac, isn't it?
It's iPad to Mac.
Yeah.
Which I think they now have like a built-in mirror.
That was my follow-up question. Yeah, if you're using I think Sidecar they call it.
Sidecar, that's right. Yeah. No, I'm not using that. I am using AstroCAD.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time now, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think it maybe predated Sidecar, which is...
Oh, definitely did. Yeah, definitely.
Which is how I ended up with it, because I was just fairly desperate to have this sort of setup.
Yeah.
My poor wrists were sounding like cement trucks from all of the drawing that I was trying to do with a mouse.
I did that at one point. I was working like late nights, and in my youth I was working very long hours, and everything was on a computer, and had a mouse at work and then a mouse at home, and I was probably doing like 14 hours in front of the computer, and same thing. It was just I started getting really bad wrists, so I actually just used a Wacom at work, even though it wasn't doing any drawing, just to change things up, and it helped quite a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So this S...
I also...
Oh, you're gone. No, you do your thing.
I was just gonna say I also bought one of those really ugly but very ergonomic mouses, because my wrist
right,
just can't hack it anymore.
Yeah. We're from the cool S era, so
yeah,
it's like those memes you see, and it's like, hey, do you remember this song? Like, go get like your skin checked or something like that. It's like, because if you remember this song, if you remember this song, then you must have like a bad lower back, and you must be in your 40s or 30s, so you have to go get like, more rest.
I thought you were saying the song was about getting your skin checked, like it was some TV jingle or something.
No, it's just like proving your age. It's like, if this brings back a core memory, then you old, and it's like, oh, that made me sad.
I hate when those videos start as like a nostalgia thing, and you're like, oh my God, I do remember that. And then the punch at the end is like, by the way, you're old now.
Yeah. It's like, wow, thank you. Like, geez, come on.
Rude.
So rude, the youth. So you're just drawing over the line, but because of our natural slight imperfections, it's going to, when you put them side by side, kind of flick from one to the other, you're going to get a subtle kind of change that we had to go out of our way to replicate in After Effects.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I couldn't, if I tried my hardest, draw the exact same shape, even though I'm literally just tracing this. I couldn't make it the same if I had tried. But I'm not trying to. I'm trying to make it slightly different. So I'm kind of just trying to be a little quick and a little bit loose. And I say quick, it's taken like minutes to draw one.
I'd be at it all day.
Version of this.
I do a terrible job at this. I'd be so bad at this.
Really? Even tracing?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Why?
I don't know.
You could trace.
No patience. I think because it's live, I think you do doing well under pressure. Like, I think if it was like, it's a bit like spelling for me live. I don't think I spell that bad, but when all the AI stuff came out and we're typing live constantly, I realized how shocking a speller I am when I'm rushing. Like, how do you spell thoroughly? I mean, honestly.
That's a tricky one. There's too many O's and U's.
Yeah.
They come out of nowhere. Yep. I think anyone trying to do anything in a rush while doing it live is, you're going to make some mistakes.
Yeah.
I think you could probably cut yourself some slack. I think you could do this, Flynn.
I mean, I couldn't even spell bananas live if it wasn't for Gwen Stefani.
She really did the world a public service with that song.
She did. Thank goodness. I wish every hit song taught me something. Like, number 1, how to change a tire.
Some like amazing Kendrick Lamar rap or something about the steps involved.
Yeah. Like, he's a great rapper and all, but I mean, come on, teach me about, home maintenance or something. By the way, chat, as well as we just digress into memes here on Adobe Live together, feel free to throw any questions you have about frame-by-frame animation or animation in general.
It's going to be a lot of very chill, kind of cruisy drawing today. So chat is very welcome. Nice to have a little chin wag while we sketch. It's like a beautiful, drizzly, rainy day where I am, Flynn. So this is like I could not be more in heaven.
Oh, nice.
Just like cozied up in my little office, having a chat, doing some drawing while it
Chilling
rains
out.
outside.
Perfect.
It's pretty good.
Is that border collie that you're dog sitting, just chilling out, or?
Evie is currently sitting with my partner Nick.
Yeah.
She cannot be trusted to be in the same room as me because she will bark if like a bird tweets outside, or if someone sneezes, or you know, any sign of life outside, and she is on high alert.
Nice.
But she'll get a nice big cuddle when we're done here.
Oh. Love it.
She's a menace, but she's a very cute menace.
Yeah. Border collies are the best dogs. They're so cool. One day.
Did you ever have any when you were growing up?
I had one when I was very little, and my wife Claire also had one when she was really little.
Yeah.
And so we've always spoken that we will, we're like, well, once we do this, we'll get one dog. And once we do this, and it's like anytime we've sort of really thought about it, but just sort of the cost and, kids and everything at the same time, we keep kind of pushing it back a little bit. But it's getting closer. Right. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen soon. We'll see. Yeah.
They are a beautifully natured dog.
They are. They're the best. But no, I grew up with mostly Labradors. I don't know why. They're pretty good. They're good. They're dopey though, generally.
Yeah. I had a golden retriever when I was a kid.
The other best dog, yeah.
Yeah. She was so beautiful and so gentle and loving, and yeah. We grew up by the beach, so she would always like go for big swims and like try and catch fish, and
yeah.
Super cute.
Those are all great dogs. So now
unrelated to anything we're doing here, but
we do that sometimes. We'll talk about food, and like we're doing live streams through lunchtime. It's like, oh god, now I'm hungry. It's like, oh god, now I want a dog. Question.
Yeah.
Johanna's given me heaps because she said, did the Wiggles do all that work for nothing? I don't think the Wiggles were spelling complicated words. Or are you saying that the Wiggles should have already taught me how to spell my fruits? Either way.
I don't think they ever spelled out thoroughly, though, or taught us how to change a tyre.
No, that's true.
I mean, the big red car's going to need some new wheels at some point, right?
They've been driving that thing for like 40 years. Never broken down. It's totally unrealistic. Which approach or app would you... which app/approach do you prefer if you absolutely had to choose? Was Johanna's question.
For animation?
I think so, yeah, between the two, After Effects and Photoshop.
I mean, Photoshop's not really built for what we're doing.
Right.
Like this certainly isn't like its main function. And I think probably a lot of people wouldn't use it as such. I just really like it because it's kind of so simple. Like there's kind of 3 parameters you can play with. Whereas, After Effects, you can get kind of overwhelmed with everything there is to know about it and to do in there.
Yeah.
I guess Photoshop is the same if you're using it for like image editing. But in terms of animation, I really like how kind of manual it is. Nothing's going to break down because you're literally just drawing pictures. And, while there might not be a lot of kind of whiz-bang fancy sort of effects and things that you can apply. Actually, that's not true. There's tons of effects you can put on stuff in here. But in terms of drawing, it's like your imagination rather than your knowledge of the tool set that is the limiting factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oftentimes I will, this is not answering the question at all, sorry, but oftentimes I will I'll do the animation in After Effects so I can sort of rough out the motion, but then I'll just bring it into Photoshop and draw over the top of it because I prefer how that feels.
Right. Yeah.
If I can't quite get that sort of handmade feeling in After Effects the way we did yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
But like sometimes I just don't know how to do a certain thing, or it's too complicated to do it in After Effects. Like if you're trying to do something that's quite expressive and fluid, that can be even more time consuming to do it in After Effects than it would be to just open up Photoshop and do like 3 drawings or something to get that same effect. So it's kind of a trade-off either way. Like yeah.
I get that. Like I'm sometimes like that. I found, we're always taught as designers to sketch first and then bring it into the computer when, you know, you're
same.
kind of finalizing things. So you already kind of had to have your sketch signed off, right?
Yeah.
Which has changed obviously now for lots of reasons, but that is always felt like quite a failure because I was really, really bad at sketching and really wanted it to actually, I don't even know if this works because I can't draw straight lines. Like I can't figure out how I can put text over this shape because when I draw it, it just loses itself in the shape. Whereas if you're in, the program, you can just quickly throw in outlines and go, okay, you can actually see it. Oh, okay, then, minimize the shadow here and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I think I used to go straight to the computer a lot of the times and felt very naughty doing that. But then I feel like a lot of people do that. It's fine to kind of be creative within the apps and stuff.
Well, I mean, you can still draw. You can still be loose and sketchy within, Illustrator or wherever you're kind of doing those sketches.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It was such a thing, wasn't it? Like you have to do your sketches on paper first.
Yeah.
Before you bring it in. I think that's still valid in certain applications. Like if what you're doing is meant to feel of the hand and really sketchy, obviously trying to emulate that with vectors is going to be more difficult than like, the texture and the wobbliness that you would naturally get if you did do it with ink on paper or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, sometimes it is just, yeah.
And there's a speed thing to it as well. Like, cool, do 50 icons and different versions of this logo and then come back to me kind of thing, I think is a very junior designer in an agency kind of back in the day kind of vibe. I think that was, okay, cool, great. I like this one and this one. Go grab some coffees, come back and jump into Illustrator. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it was a bit born from that kind of era, which I don't even know if is the case anymore. Don't know if that's what a junior does in an agency.
I never actually worked in an agency, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. I've never worked. Oh, I mean, I did a little bit, but it was so long ago, it doesn't matter. But I've worked within a lot of agencies, like doing my own thing. Yeah. So I've seen how they operate, but not as a as a cog or a part of the team or anything like that at all.
Yeah. This is gonna seem like if anyone was watching yesterday and saw how quickly we applied the turbulent displace effect to achieve this same effect,
right?
They're probably going, "Why are you doing this? This is taking so much longer." But this, maybe we'll call this our last little frame for the lettering, and we'll move on to the flames so we can have a play with that. I think for normally to achieve that sort of boil without making it feel like really obviously like the same 3 frames over and over again, I would probably do maybe half a dozen of these drawings. I think up to 4? No, 5.
I've done
We're
5.
on number 5 here. Yeah. Oh, look at us go.
Nice.
We'll call it at 5. I might do another one afterwards and then add it back into the mix. But let's just have a little look at what this is looking like if I switch my template off. And we can just kind of see that play.
Yeah, it's cool.
All that work for this. It was worth it, right?
It's Great. It looks cool.
It's just got a little bit of that kind of wobble to it. Obviously, this will change a bit when I color these shapes in, like just as in outline form. But you are starting to get a bit of a sense of the texture and the imperfection that we're sort of trying to build into this.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our flames. Let's make a new layer, flames. That's popped it at the top of our little timeline here. And I'm just going to do the same thing I did for our spicy layer and just kind of chop this into a few different sections here. And these are going to be the layers we draw on for our flames.
Cool.
You could draw straight on top of the spicy layer if you wanted to. Like, it doesn't have to be separated into different layers, but I just find this gives you a little bit more flexibility down the track if you wanted to separate them in any way or treat them slightly differently or like kind of offset them or anything like that. So similar to what we did with our lettering, I'm going to take my starting template here and just knock that back a little bit so I can see it, but I can still see my lettering underneath. And always important to make sure that whatever layer you have selected is the one you're drawing on, because if you start drawing on the wrong layer, you're not going to realize until halfway through and it's just going to be a nightmare to try and unpick. But we have our first flame layer here, we've got our template underneath, and I'm just going to quickly draw straight over the top of these, maybe making a few adjustments as I go to kind of blend it back into the lettering underneath.
I'm surprised you're doing it in white and not in yellow. Why is that?
Yeah, so I'm just going to do the whole drawing in white, and then I'm going to use like a clipping mask to put the color in once the whole thing's done.
Right, cool.
I just find that gives me a bit more flexibility, and I'm kind of looking at the shape at this point before I focus too much on color.
Yeah.
And again, probably didn't need to have like a whole template for this. Like, this is a very fluid sort of design. It doesn't need to be perfect, but just kind of for the sake of getting this done quite quickly. Okay, so we've got our first sort of starting flame locked in, and I can turn that layer off, and I might turn my end template on now and just knock that back a bit so I can still see it, but it's not kind of too distracting. And what I want to do, I want to be able to see what I drew just before, but like just kind of as a guide. So I'm going to turn on onion skins, which we've chatted about before. It's like, so I'm just trying to find my window. It keeps opening up on the wrong desktop. It is taking the frame beforehand and dropping the opacity so we can see where we've been. It will also, you can do frames before or frames after. Because I already know where my endpoint is, I don't really need that. So I'm just going to switch it to 0. The sort of blue template I've got is where I'm working towards. But it is helpful for me to see the frame before. So if I move forward to this next frame, you can kind of see everything from the previous layer is now dropped back in opacity.
Yeah.
I can still kind of make it out. And from here, this is where we're just kind of free drawing, just kind of making it up as we go. I'm trying to kind of just move things a little bit away from where they were, more sort of in the direction of where we're going. But really incrementally, I want this to be like a gradual shift. I don't want all of this to happen really quickly.
And is it important to kind of know how many frames you're going to be doing to know how subtle and like the distance between the start and the end?
Yeah, it is. This is quite a forgiving design, I suppose, because it is really, like if flames jump around and there's not a rhythm to them. They kind of, they're affected by wind and air. And if you were doing something that was more of a character-based thing, that would be much more important. But what we're kind of doing here with our start frame and our end frames is a very, very sort of basic version of what's called pose-to-pose animation. So we kind of know where we're starting and we know where we're finishing, and we're just drawing the in-between frames versus straight ahead animation, which is where you would have your starting frame and then just kind of like fluidly go from there.
Yeah.
The other nice thing about doing it this way is you can always, because we've got everything separated out into different layers, if you somehow discover that the jump is too quick and you want to slow the animation down, you can always go and sort of add some extra frames in between.
Right, yeah.
If you need to add more.
Plus, if it kind of looks like it's jiggling just a little bit, other than the fact that it's fire, you've also got the text, the copy, which is already kind of, nothing's going to be static anyway. So you you can be very forgiving, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you were doing a more sort of complex layout, like if you had a whole scene with like a foreground and a background and a character, and you wouldn't necessarily do that boil technique on everything. That would be quite a lot of things shimmering all at once. But because this is quite a stripped back design, we've got a flat colored background. It is kind of nice to have that bit of motion just in the letters themselves.
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting a little bit closer to our final little end point here.
And obviously this sort of thing is like we talked about, kind of using an iPad or a stylus or something like that, is nice. But you could, because it doesn't look like there's a lot of pressure sensitivity happening here, you could do this with a mouse and keyboard. Like if you're watching from home and thinking, I don't have an iPad or I don't have this, I can't do it. But you could, because this is kind of flat, right?
Yeah, you totally could do it. It's really just my old bones.
My old bones ache.
And my preference, I guess, as well, just for, it's nice to look where I'm drawing rather than, like, there's a bit of a disconnect. What have I done there? Oh, God. Flynn,
you just rotated the iPad, I think. Oh no, you rotated it in.
We don't want that.
You did that. You fixed it.
I love when you discover a keyboard shortcut you never knew about.
Yes.
The number of times I accidentally turn on the perspective tool in
that's a classic.
In
Illustrator.
I'm like, I don't want this.
It's a
Go
classic.
away.
There's a YouTube video from almost a decade ago, I think, of someone. It goes for about a minute. And it says, hey, it's really low budget. Like someone's just recorded it on, QuickTime or something on like not even a 16:9 monitor. Like it's so old. And it's like, hey, did you accidentally open the perspective tool? Here's how you turn it off. It's this shortcut. And it's got like 1 million views because that's the first thing that comes up when you search it. Because still to this day, the default shortcut is still something that we all bump occasionally. And you're like, how do I get rid of this thing? So yeah, sorry about that.
So good. That's so funny.
That's great. I love that, like the old internet.
That's the way to get eyes on your work, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like it's not as bad as it used to be. I feel like when you used to turn it on, it used to place that grid over everything.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's just a little icon in the corner and it's a bit less in your face.
I think that's why.
Because nobody wanted it, but they kept accidentally bringing it on. You could do a similar thing here to what we did with the lettering and draw over the same, like we're basically at our end frame now. If I wanted to, we could draw over that a couple times to kind of just pause on that frame, I guess. Let's see, how are we doing for time? We might just have a look at what this is doing. So we've got 5 frames of our flames kind of going between these poses. And if we turn off that end template, and if I turn off onion skins, because we don't really need to see that anymore. Now this is kind of doing a pretty nice little, you know, it's flickering, and obviously because we've gone from one position to the other, and then it's just kind of jumping back. We don't have that transition back, but we can emulate that. Let me get rid of these layers here because there's nothing on those. If we grab these 3 frames and duplicate them. Oh, have I opened up another thing here? Of course I have. Yes, that is fine. Bring these up here and just kind of reverse the order of these. So we're kind of boomeranging back. And we'll need to kind of duplicate these layers as well. We don't have to reverse these ones because it's just the same drawing over and over again.
Right.
So now we've got a much smoother kind of flickering this way and kind of going back. The more frames that you add into this, obviously the longer the composition is going to be and the more variation you'll have with those frames. But I think it has like a really... there's something that feels really genuine about it. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly, but just like very of the hand, very, you know, pen and paper, even if it is a digital pen and digital paper.
Yeah.
It's got that texture and that charm, and that feels really, I guess, kind of authentic to me.
Totally. Especially when I think in the sea of crisp digital stuff, like when we are like browsing on the internet. And I guess it's where most of us consume like most of our media these days, right? Like if you look at any website, it's all JavaScript and it's very crisp. So there's something nice about texture and like in your feed and on a website, like it kind of, I think in contrast, it's like, it's just a bit in contrast of what we typically do see. So I think there's an extra bit of value add, I think, to that kind of hand-drawn texture-based, you know,
and I think
kind of
people appreciate it too. Like I think you can feel when it's done that way.
Yeah, totally.
I'm just going to add one more quick little layer up here. In the same way that we had our little embers and things in the After Effects version.
Yeah.
This is going to be super duper quick. But this is kind of where the Photoshop style of thing works pretty well. Because this is going to be more of that straight ahead animation rather than pose to pose. So I'm just going to add a couple dots in coming out of our flames.
Oh yeah,
so
the embers.
Maybe we'll chuck one there, one there. Cool. And then maybe we can make them seem a little bit more expressive by maybe they're not just dots the whole way. Maybe they're maybe they're doing a thing. And actually, I might adjust our onion skin settings here so I can see 2 frames before. So now I can kind of get more of a sense of where the path is going. Maybe this guy comes up here. And maybe they sort of turn back into dots as they go. Did I miss a frame?
Yeah, that looks cool.
It's just a really light touch, but I think it is like it's these kind of little like dust specks that just make it feel a little bit more engaging.
Yeah, for sure.
This is all happening at the same time too. Like we've drawn, you know, the start and finish of every frame. Oops.
Recording stopped.
Oh.
Like all of the action is kind of happening all at once. We can alternate that though. Like we can kind of chop and change and apply some masks and things and then slide things around. But let's just have a look at what that looks like. Cool.
That looks awesome.
So like that would have taken maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes in After Effects, whereas we could be way more expressive and much faster doing that type of thing in Photoshop. So you can kind of sprinkle on some more expressive elements, yeah, in a much faster way, doing it this way around. Have we got time to have a look at a couple examples of like other Photoshop?
Yeah, we got a few minutes, I think. We got literally 3 minutes, so if it's quick. But yeah,
cool.
I just want to say those embers really do add a lot, don't they?
Right? Like all of a sudden it's now dancing.
Yeah.
Where before it was like much more static. This is giving it a lot more life. The technique, like it's a really basic sort of framework, the chopping up the layers and drawing frame by frame. But like we were kind of talking about before, there is so many directions you can kind of take that in, really just dependent on, you know, you might be an illustrator, it might be a logo, however you want to do it. This is quite similar to the one we just did where we've got the text that's got that sort of oil texture happening and this little bit of more expressive kind of puff of smoke that comes out.
Yeah, cool.
This is sort of much more complex. There's obviously a lot more frames happening in this particular one, but this style of thing would be really difficult to do in After Effects to get the shapes to morph in that way and respond to the kind of boundary. This one would be possible to do in After Effects, and I've certainly done plenty of designs like this in that software, but it doesn't have that same fluidity.
Yeah.
You know, you could do like a character design in there. The way these things move is again hard to do with keyframes and vectors.
I feel like that would have been really hard to animate because it's such an unnatural, like...
Yeah, super unnatural, the way that it kind of like pulls up.
Like this, yeah, it's really weird to think about.
It sort of snaps and then, yeah. I also love just doing like a bit of confetti in Photoshop. We've done a single color thing, but obviously you can do as many different colors as you like. There's no limit to that. Yeah, lots of different kind of ways you can take that very basic structure and run with it. Yeah.
Cool. I love it. Yeah, you can really see it in action here in some of these ones, like the...
Yeah. You can do lots of arty transitions and things as well, which is lots of fun. It is time consuming, but it's a pretty nice way to spend time also, just
as you said,
noodling and
a little bit rainy in the distance and just chilling out and
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we are out of time. I want to make sure that we have time to say our goodbyes. Yeah, we'll look at this as we go out. If you want to press play, we can kind of see the spiciness.
Oh shit! That's not what I meant to do. I was trying to do a little side by side so we can kind of see this guy next to this.
If you're on Behance, we might just get cut off right then, but if you're on YouTube, we'll be fine. But there you go. You can see them side by side. Super cool. Look at that.
Phew.
It's really cool. Thank you so much, Sophie. I love seeing these side by side and like the kind of the details of pros and cons of each and like different use cases and stuff like that. And thanks for showing the examples as well of other ones that you've done. I think that really brings it home too.
It's good fun, I think. Yeah, and it's an easy starting point and lots of fun to play with.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again so much. It's always fun having you on Adobe Live and our silly conversations and things as we learn from you and grow together. Thanks everyone for watching here on Adobe Live Asia Pacific. We're done for the week, so we're going out with a bang. But yeah, we'll be back soon with some more stuff. So we'll see you all then. And Sophie, thanks again once more for joining us on Adobe Live.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Flynn.
Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye.